Welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment podcast that's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the real cinch, Neal Lynch. I'm a former mediocre middle relief pitcher and fourth string college quarterback who earned himself a film and media studies degree. And now I'm a single dad who loves to talk Mets baseball, Giants football, movies, TV, and comedy. On today's episode, we're going to be reveling, swimming and basking and bathing in the afterglow and the aftershocks of the New York Metropolitans signing the longest contract in Major League Baseball history. Juan Soto, only 26 years old, and we got him. Oh, baby. So that's the meat of this here pod. We'll also talk about some other stuff going on. Luis Severino, now with the A's, signed Clay Holmes, traded for Siri. And we'll look at what Pete Alonso's projected contract might come in at, some lineup options, and some potential free agent pitchers down the road. So, without further ado, the pitch clock is ticking down. Best deliver the windup. So let's get started up in here. Holy shit. It was Sunday night, right? Yeah, Sunday night. I'm watching, I think I was watching Sunday Night Football. This was like 10 o'clock at night, something like that. I had a couple claws in me, and I thought for sure that I saw somewhere that the Mets were out. We weren't, and I didn't really think that we had a strong chance of signing Juan Soto. I really didn't. And I wasn't necessarily pushing for it or advocating for it, which in retrospect, I had salary cap brain. I'm so used to, I've been snake bit by big deals, and I've been, on the record about this a lot. Snake bit by big deals, especially for the Mets. Jason Bay and so many contracts, big contracts handed out to superstars past their prime, Verlander, Scherzer, Mo Vaughn, Alomar. I'm gun shy. I don't want to pull the trigger on these massive contracts anymore. I didn't think Shohei Ohtani was worth it, and he was the MVP for the Dodgers last year. So, and he wasn't even playing the two positions that he normally plays. He was only a DH. And I have this salary cap brain, right? Because I'm a big football fan. I think about, we don't want to kill ourselves financially, and prohibit us from doing stuff down the road in the future and making other moves. And I just continue to live in the Wilpon era when it comes to spending money. It's Pavlovian. It's a trained response. We just don't spend money. And if we do spend money, it always comes back to bite us right in the biznalls. And I have to remind myself that we have Uncle Stevie Cohen, a friggin' billionaire who loves this team and is desperately trying to get us to win a World Series or 2 or 3 or 4. So, I thought, if we sign Juan Soto to this massive contract, the numbers they're throwing around are like $600 million. I'm like, doesn't that hamper our ability to re-sign Pete, which I really want to re-sign Pete and see him break all kinds of Mets records and get his number retired and get in the Mets Hall of Fame and possibly the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, although I know it's a longer shot. We need so many arms. We need arms in the bullpen where we could be losing 3 of our starters from this past season. We need to get arms. And now after this deal and him and Juan Soto signing for 15 years, $765 million, I don't think that way anymore. I'm just yeah. Well, money is no issue. We're just going to spend and spend and spend. But interesting enough, and David Stearns has said this repeatedly, and I didn't even think Billy Epler said this. Steve Cohen does not spend like a drunken sailor. He can, and most people would in his position, but he doesn't, right? Scherzer and Verlander were kind of big spends, but they were very short-term contracts. You look at what we did in free agency last year, where we pick up Manaea and Severino on short 1 to 2 year contracts. Quintana's on a 1 to 2 year contract. So, and that seems to be the MO this year as well with this offseason. Now, with that being said, watch us go out and break the bank for Corbin Burns or Max Fried or something like that. But what a massive, massive deal. I think his name's Jim Bowden. He writes for The Athletic. He had 25 predictions for signings and free, for the MLB offseason trades and whatnot. He predicted the Yankees would match the Mets and Dodgers' best offers for Juan Soto, signing the $622 million contract that keeps the Soto-Aaron Judge tandem in New York's lineup for years to come. The Mets' focus on starting pitching and free agency managed to sign both Corbin Burns and Max Fried to long-term contracts, while also bringing back first baseman Pete Alonso, dropping more than $500 million in future salary commitments to land the trio. To think that both of those things can be true it's a whole new world. And, this is going to sound so stupid, but growing up, it was like especially in the 90s, it was like the Yankees are always going to spend. And I always thought that the majority of Mets fans would scoff at that or like look down upon it, frown upon it, and be like, well, you're buying championships. But as the years go by and you look back at the 90s Yankees, no one's saying they bought the championships. Everyone's just saying, look how many championships they've won. So in the moment, it's like you bought a championship, but and that was always what the Mets fan base comeback was to the Yankees. Was, well, you buy your championships. You don't earn it. You're not working hard. You don't earn it. You're just buying it. And it's like the guys you're paying still have to go out there and win the World Series. So, it's just a whole new world. It's just, for how many years did we lose out on massive potential moves because we were too cheap or we were burdened? We couldn't make the move because we didn't have the capital, the money, the wherewithal. The days of paying Bobby Bonilla 30 years down the road are over. I mean, the Dodgers seem to be all in on those kind of deferrals. I mean, they're deferring out the ass. They're basically, the Dodgers are planning on California, like an earthquake, just taking California off of the continental United States and sinking, and then they don't have to worry about any kind of debt that they owe to their players, I guess. But it's just a huge momentum shift, right? The Yankees are not the big spenders in town. They're not the only game in town. The whole big brother, little brother thing, I never really paid much mind to. But the idea that top talent, we have not seen a lot of top talent go to the Yankees over the past maybe 5 to 10 years, decade, where it's like they're not landing the big players that they used to with the massive contracts. And is that a result of just maybe it's just the vibe? It really is a vibe thing. Like, it's a money thing for sure, but money talks for sure. But also, like, are they having fun? Is that a fun clubhouse? Is it, do players, is it a legacy thing where, like, do players actually want to go to the Yankees where they've already won so many world championships? Or do you want to go to another club where it's like the Mets or, the Dodgers haven't necessarily won, obviously are not as close in championship numbers as the Yankees, but like the Dodgers haven't won in a while. So like, is that an impetus to, create a dynasty in LA? And now the Mets are like, okay, we can be that East Coast powerhouse and take over where the Yankees were. And there's more intrigue there because you win a World Series. I mean, we haven't seen a World Series win since '86. And if you win a World Series, at least one World Series, like you are entrenched, cemented as a legend for Mets franchise. Whereas you win another World Series with the Yankees, it's like, well, you're one of hundreds of players that have done it. So that could be a factor as well. But 15 years, $765 million. It includes a $75 million signing bonus. He will not pay any New York State or city tax on the signing bonus, which I thought was a neat little wrinkle. And that's the beauty of Steve Cohen. In addition to him being a massive diehard Mets fan, which is great, and wanting to see his team win now, like he is willing to take a loss to get that championship. Whereas a lot of owners, they're like, it's all about profit. He's willing to take the loss, but he won't even, it's like he's able to, he's a businessman and he's able to sell. He's a salesman and he's able to utilize his team and find out what drives and motivates and influences these people. You know, it goes beyond the numbers a lot of the times. Like that's a neat, like a cool little wrinkle that the signing bonus is not taxable, because I think, you know, from a business standpoint, a lot of these athletes, when they're thinking about where they're going in free agency, do I really want to go to New York and have so many taxes withheld from my pay? And that means that the New York teams are going to have to pay way more. And in most instances, in most sports, there is that salary cap issue. And so you can't. So they'll go to like a Florida or a Texas or whatever. So that must be nice to throw in that wrinkle. And then, you know, I'm reading, I mean, who knows if a lot of this is true, but like just the way that Yankees security and Yankees staffers were treating Juan Soto's family. And for one of the selling points for Steve Cohen was like, hey, your family will be treated like first class priority VIP wherever we go. Here's what we can do. Blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it's not just, I mean, the money, obviously, you know, I saw that as of 3 p.m. on the day that he was supposed to decide, the Mets were out. And Steve Cohen was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. This guy's 26 and I'm about to lay some fucking stats on you that might last for the next 4 hours. I mean, this guy is like, I don't want to quite, you know, say Barry Bonds, but like this guy has got like Barry Bonds level Banarnar cuckoo stats. That I wasn't fully aware of. It's like I knew he came up when he was young, and I knew that he's got a great eye at the plate. He's got power. I just didn't know the extent to which what we were getting and what we will get if he stays healthy. Knock on wood for the 1,000th time. We mentioned he just turned 26, which is he'll be like 41 by the time the contract's done. The year will be 25 if man is still alive. No, the year will be 2040. I'll be 60. I'll be 60 years old by the time his contract is up. You know, and I mean, we have not seen a lot of these longer contracts, which we'll get into in a little bit. It's like it would be amazing if these guys finish out their contracts, finish out those long contracts with the team that signed them to that major contract. But he'll be 41. I'll be 60. My daughter will be 21. She'll be drinking. Me and her be drinking at the bar, watching Juan Soto DH with his old ass and gray beard, still hitting like, I'll say he could probably hit like 20 home runs, 25 home runs in his last season as a Met, as he polishes, as he gets ready to be on his way to the Hall of Fame. As I mentioned in the intro, it's the largest total package in Major League Baseball history, in addition to the largest average annual salary, $51 million per year. He eclipsed the record set last winter by Shohei Ohtani. It's not just that, it's the largest contract in sports history, which is outrageous. It's also the longest contract in Major League Baseball history. It broke Fernando Tatis Jr.'s 14-year extension with the Padres in 21 and Bryce Harper's 13-year deal with the Phillies in 2019. He was projected to get a 13-year, $611 million deal. And it just became an all-out bidding war. So that's why it's like, anytime I see a market value for like a top free agent, it's like you might as well tack on an extra, I mean, in this case, 765, 611. I mean, you could tack on an extra 20%, 25%. He's drawn comparisons to Ted Williams, which is 1,000% accurate. 4-time All-Star. He made the All-Star game in 3 straight seasons with 3 different teams. He's one of 10 players to do that. No player has made it to 4 straight seasons with 4 different teams. I can't imagine a world where he isn't an All-Star with the Mets this upcoming season. No player has even made an All-Star game with a 4th team, regardless of consecutive, before turning 31. So even if he doesn't make it, this season, he's got another 5 seasons before he can break that record. 5-time Silver Slugger. Helped the Nats win the World Series age 20. Hit 41 ding-dongs and 109 ribeyes, 989 OPS last season. He hit the home run that delivered the Yankees to the World Series, their first since 2009 in the ALCS. He's one of only 9 players to hit at least 200 home runs through age 25. The longest home run of his career came at Citi Field on August 12, 2020, traveling 466 feet. He also hit a 463-foot home run 2 days earlier, which is those are the 4th and 5th longest home runs at Citi Field in the StatCast era since 2015. The career high 41 home runs he hit last season with the Yankees. No player has hit a 40 home run season for both the Yankees and Mets. In fact, the only players with 40 plus home runs in their careers for each of the franchises are Strawberry, Beltran, and Granderson. He's one of 9 players with multiple postseason home runs with 3 different teams. Nobody has done so for 4 teams yet. Seems like he's going to do that. I mean, I'm trying not to jinx this. I'm trying not to jinx all this because I'm getting friggin' giddy reading all these stats and what he's like, his projections and like the forecast. Like, I'm trying to not. It's hard to contain the excitement because the Mets have never really had a player like this. Never. I mean, Lindor is probably as close as we have gotten to that. I mean, obviously David Wright was on pace for a lot of amazing milestones and achievements, and injuries derailed his career. And it's so goddamn sad because if you look at his projections and forecasts, he was a surefire Hall of Famer, but he just injuries. So hopefully this guy, I don't know, because you think about all the goddamn weird injuries that Mets players have suffered in the past, and it's like, is he going to catch that bug? Is Soto going to have, like, he's going to be on his patio deck and a bird flies into his eyeball? I don't know. 2024 was Soto's 4th season with at least 25 home runs and 125 walks. That's the 4th most in Major League Baseball history, behind only Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, and Ted Williams. I mean, the names that are being linked to this dude are insane. Soto and Williams are the only players with more than 2 such seasons within their first 7 years in the majors. Soto has 201 career home runs, tied with Albert Pujols for sixth most before turning 26, behind Jimmy Fox, Eddie Matthews, Alex Rodriguez, Mel Ott, and Mickey Mantle. Oh my God. And that's with 2020 being the shortened 60-game season. So if 2020 had been a full season, he would have hit 28 more home runs, putting him at the top of the list. He also has 23 career multi-homer games, the second most before turning 26. Soto is one of only 9 players to hit at least 200 home runs through age 25. Each of the 8 other players played full careers. A-Rod, Fox, Matthews, Ott, Mantle, Frank Robinson, and Pujols all got to 500. So he will, I mean, we're talking about like, God, see, I've been so psychologically, I have PTSD. And I know you shouldn't throw that around casually, right? And minimize it. But this is real. I have PTSD. I think a lot of Mets fans do. This is like too good to be true. This doesn't happen to us. And when something good happens, it's usually something bad happens right after it. So it's hard. If this is the new norm, like we're just going to have good stuff and nothing bad's going to happen. I don't know it's going to take a while for me to embrace that because I'm like, oh, please, God, like we got to just wrap this dude in bubble wrap. Since his debut in 2018, Juan Soto leads all hitters in on-base percentage at a .421 clip. He's had at least a .400 on-base percentage at each of his first 7 seasons of his career. That streak is tied with Ferris Fain for the 4th longest streak to start a career among players in the live ball era dating back to 1920. He's chasing Ted Williams, who was the first 17 seasons, which is incredible. Frank Thomas, who had 8, and Wade Boggs, who had 8. He's finished first in walks in 2021, 2022, and 2023, so not last year. He has 769 career walks, already the most walks in Major League history through age 25, and it's second most by a player before turning 27, behind Mickey Mantle's 797. So he should easily break that. 29 walks away from breaking the pre-27 record, and he hasn't played a single pitch as a 26-year-old. Woo. His career at Citi Field: .333 batting average, .466 sluggo, .709 OPS. Oh my friggin' God, dude! 12 home runs in 35 games at Citi Field. So the whole he had the short porch at Yankee Stadium, and he's not going to have that at Citi. I didn't realize that our fences were 470 feet deep. This guy doesn't even. I mean, you can move the fences back another 50 feet. You want the guy's still going to hit home runs. Yeah, so the Yankees ended up offering an average annual value of 47.5 versus the Mets 51. And is it really? And the Yankees fans, I'm not much of a I haven't been as severe a Yankees hater as a lot of Mets fans are. But it is kind of it does. I do get a little smirk on the old grill looking at the Yankees fans freaking out a little bit, and freaking out and be like, oh, he's a money grubbing. He's a pig. All he cares about is money. And it was like, it's really, it was less than $4 million was the difference per year. And it was like, look how he's responding to the fans chanting his name and chanting re-sign Soto and MVP. And, look how he's responding. It's like, well, yeah. What he's supposed to not respond to that because he knows he's going to sign with another team. He didn't know. They can't believe it. And it's like, well, you got to start believing. That's kind of like the Mets thing. We believe. You got to believe. So you better start believing that the Yankees are going to lose out to the Mets when it comes to these bidding wars for big name players. Jeff Passan said that Soto believed the Mets have a brighter future, which, if it's the reverse and the Mets offered 47.5 per year and the Yankees offer 51 a year, he's not taking the Mets deal. So I think that's a nice little cherry on top. I don't think that's the major deciding factor. I think it is a big factor, but I don't think ultimately it's the one that's gonna, it's like if the, I don't think that was, I think it had something to do with it, but I don't think that was, it's all part of the pie, Matthew Brownstein on Twitter said only 3 players in Major League Baseball history have recorded 200 plus home runs with an OPP over 420 through their age 25 season. Jimmy Fox, Mickey Mantle, and Juan Soto. Frank Fleming from Barstool Sports said, did you know the Mets won the World Series in 1969 and Don Clendenon was the World Series MVP? The Mets won the World Series in 1986 and Ray Knight was the World Series MVP. Both players wore number 22. And it is something else. I'm a little stitious. I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious, but goddamn, it's hard to ignore the signs and the connections because on the same day, 40 years ago, December 8th, 2020 or 1984, December 8th, 1984, we traded for Gary Carter, who has been credited with, along with Keith Hernandez, acquiring Keith Hernandez, have been credited with were the major driving forces for the Mets winning the World Series in '86. So we often, that was one of the biggest moves, transactions in Mets franchise history, and this dwarfs that because how old was Gary Carter when we got him? How old is Juan Soto? I mean, the age thing is just blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. Howie Rose, voice of the New York Mets on 880 AM radio. Mets radio says, this is perhaps the most unique moment in the history of the New York Mets. I told you from day one that Steve Cohen was not about to be the little brother in town. He was taking dead aim at the Yankees and everyone else. It's on. And I mean, when he became owner, he wanted to win the World Series in the first 5 years. We're now looking at year 5, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So the guy tries to keep his word. It's not, a lot of these GMs and the owners, they come in, they talk big, like a new head coach will come in his introductory press conference and talk big and be like, we're going to bite kneecaps and we're going to do this. And, and they have their little saying or their motto expression, all gas, no brakes. And, but Steve backs it up. He backs it up. So, Juan Soto will wear number 22. Sorry, Brett Beatty. I don't think maybe Soto will throw you a cool $25 million for the right to have number 22, which is like chump change to him now. It's like half of 1 year of salary. All right. So what does this mean for the lineup? A lot of I saw someone post a graphic and I was like, why'd you post that graphic? I don't like that graphic. And I think it was this lineup. So there are 4 different lineup options that I forget who it was at MLB.com put out there, but I think The Athletic put out a lineup and it didn't have Pete Alonso in it. And I got a little sad. So if we have no other moves, meaning if we don't re-sign Pete Alonso and we don't add any big ticket name players in the field, which doesn't appear that way. I think the focus is now shifted to the pitching staff. You'd have Lindor leading off, playing short, Soto and right batting second, Vientos at first, batting third, Nimmo and left batting cleanup, interesting. Marte as DH, batting fifth, Jeff McNeil batting sixth at second, El Troll, Francisco Alvarez batting seventh behind the plate, Brett Beatty at third, batting eighth, and then Tyrone Taylor in center field, batting ninth. So from all accounts, it looks like, and we'll get to this because you might be saying, didn't we just acquire a center fielder? True. But from everyone's projections, it looks like Tyrone Taylor will remain the starting center fielder. Interesting stuff. But so if Alonso returns, what does that mean for the lineup? You got Lindor. The first two remain the same no matter what lineup configuration you want to use. The first two were always the same. Lindor leading off at short, Soto at right and second. If Alonso returns, he'll be third. He'll be batting third, playing first. Nimmo at left, batting fourth. And you have Vientos moves down to fifth, playing third. Marte remains DH, and then the rest of the lineup remains the same. Now, if we do not re-sign Pete and we go out and sign a lefty DH, which seems to be a top ticket item. I don't know where we stand with Jesse Winker if he's signed somewhere else, but it looks like they seem to think that we might be in on Jock Peterson as a DH, lefty DH. So if we sign Jock and don't re-sign Pete, first two remain the same. You have, it's basically that first lineup I gave you: Lindor, Soto, Vientos, Nimmo, and then Peterson slots in at fifth. Rest of the lineup is the same. And then if you have Alonso, re-sign Alonso, and you bring in Jock Peterson, Peterson slides to sixth behind Vientos. Alonso slotted in at the third spot. So all I know is this: it's the lineup is automatically upgraded. You're talking about Lindor, and it's a powerhouse. We're talking about a slugging lineup. Lindor can hit 30 plus, Soto 30 plus, Alonso 30 plus, Nimmo 20 plus, 25 plus, Vientos 30 plus. If we sign Peterson, potential to hit 30, but more likely 20 to 25. Alvarez can hit 20 to 25. And then you have McNeil and Taylor, who are not exactly sluggers, but Jesus Christ, 1 through 6, 1 through 7 can hit 20, 25 plus home runs. And I had some worries about, with the amount of free agents that we do have, what are we going to do about our arms, our pitching staff, our bullpen, blah, blah, blah. But then I think about it's like I have short-term memory loss. Like we just got beat in 6 by the Dodgers, who had crazy lineup 1 through 9 and pitched 2 bullpen games and beat us in 6. So I'm not as concerned about going out and getting really name brand pitchers, at least in the starting rotation, or at least in the bullpen. I don't know. You don't need the big ticket guys, and judging by some of these other signings that we've had so far at the pitcher position, it looks like Stearns is totally cool with let's roll the dice, let's take a strategic risk, short-term risk on some high reward pitchers. Rob Friedman from aka Pitching Ninja on Twitter, he tweeted out the Mets World Series odds before and after signing Soto. And this is from, I think, FanDuel. Before signing Soto, we were plus 1,200 odds to win the World Series. And then after signing Soto, plus 700, which I'm going to lose a lot of money on that. But eventually it'll hit, right? And it'll make everything go away. All my betting losses will be wiped away by one of these years by just I think I've in 20 did I do it in 2022? I don't know. I think I did in 2022, and I think I did it in 2023. And I did not pull the trigger in 2024. Did I? I might have. So yeah, that's Juan Soto. Huge. The Athletic also released their top Major League Baseball free agent rankings. Their big board, the top 40. We got the number 1 ranked, Juan Soto. Pete Alonso is ranked 8th. They also had an article about, what is Alonso worth? What did they expect? What kind of contract did they expect him to get? Freddie Freeman signed the 6-year, $162 million deal with the Dodgers. Prince Fielder signed for more than $200 million with the Tigers. Paul Goldschmidt's extension with the Cardinals was 5 years, $130. Matt Olson signed the 8-year, $168 million deal with the Braves. And all sources point to Alonso being unlikely to land the $200 million contract. And they feel like he'll get 5 years, $140 million, which would be the third largest deal the club has ever done behind Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. I guess that this is before Juan Soto signs. that would now be the fourth largest deal. If I'm Pete, I take it, dude. I mean, like, I think he loves being here. Unless it's all an act. He loves being here. He loves the fan base. He had fun. He had a monster postseason after, having a kind of rocky regular season where like numbers were a bit down from the previous season, which were a bit down from the previous season. So like we acted like he rolled over and died last season in the regular season. It's like, no, he just, struggling a little bit more. But, in terms of the future, I mean, I would love to see him, once you start to see the cracks, right, in his defensive skills at first base. If you start to see some cracks, then all right, it's time to move you to pasture, quote unquote, which is really not retirement. It's more like we're going to move you to DH and then and then you have a plan. Vientos goes to first. Need a third baseman. Like, is it going to be Brett Beatty? He's been mentioned in so many trade talks that it feels like he's going to get traded at some point. But, and now they're talking about Beatty, trying to get him to be more versatile and playing more positions like second in the outfield. So, just, making yourself more valuable. Best ability is availability. So, I mean, that was the first thing I thought after everything calmed down from the Soto signing. It was like, all right, next up, re-sign Pete. I think every Mets fan really had that feeling. Was like, all right, time to bring back our boy. So speaking of, he did decline the qualifying offer, which makes sense. It's a 1-year deal with like $22 million. We also offered qualifying offers to Sean Manaea and Luis Severino. Both of them rejected. I guess Severino was more of a surprise than Manaea because Manaea was, has more demand and had better numbers down the stretch than Severino. And Louis. He ends up signing a franchise record 3-year, $67 million deal with the Oakland Athletics, who are now going to play in Sacramento, but they're going to be called the Las Vegas A's, or are they going to be called the Sacramento A's? Or are they still the Oakland A's? I have no idea. Franchise record, 3-year, $67 million deal. Franchise record. I mean, there's a reason why they're the subject of Moneyball. It exceeds a 6-year, $66 million extension for Eric Chavez that he signed in 2004. So it's been 20 years since they were able to break that franchise record. And for an AAV of around 22 million. He was the number 23 player in the Athletics free agent big board, the 11th best available starting pitcher. He was projected to get a 3-year, $50 million deal. And it does include an opt-out after the second year. But the Mets will receive a draft pick in the 4th round or after the 4th round. So got a little something back. It sucks, though. I mean, there were a couple games in there where it's like, oh, my God, dude, figure it out. But for the most part, I really enjoyed watching him pitch in his reemergence and his renaissance. And I'm a big fan of continuity and keeping the core together when it's successful. When it's successful, keeping the core together. And he just felt like such a big part of it. And it seemed like he was having a lot of fun, rediscovering some pitches, introducing a new pitch, and finding success. You'd think that he wouldn't want to continue it. And then to go to Oakland, which has such a weird future. I mean, they finished 69 and 93 last season, and they'll play the next 3 seasons in Sacramento. And they're building a stadium in Las Vegas for the 2028 season. So, I mean, like 2025, 26, 27, he's not even going to be in Vegas. He's going to be in Sacramento for the next 3 years. Hey, Sacktown. Nice little spot. Was it the farm to table capital of America? I think that's their claim to fame. He'll get to go to some Kings games. So Sevy's gone. Manaea rejects the qualifying offer, but there's seems to be a lot more positivity about him returning on a bigger deal, which would be cool. I'm when it comes down to like a pitcher who's had a success in a Mets uniform, him versus an outside guy that hasn't pitched in the Mets uniform, and there are similar values. Like I'd rather bring back the guy that's been part of the clubhouse, but we'll see. We also went out and signed Clay Holmes, right-handed relief pitcher who used to be the Yankees closer, and we're going to use him as a starter. Kind of weird. 3-year contract worth $38 million, includes an opt-out after the second year. Last started a game in 2018. So that'd be 6-7 years, seasons ago. He made 4 starts, but has 7.80 ERA in the role before shifting full-time to the bullpen. If he does fail as a starting pitcher, the fallback option would be to have him work as a setup reliever to closer Edwin Diaz. Over his career as a reliever, Holmes has a 3.52 ERA, 2-time All-Star. He's thrown at least 60 innings in each of the past 4 seasons, but has never logged more than 70 since 2021. I don't think this is a starting pitcher, dude. He was the 27th ranked free agent on the Athletics top 40 big board. I don't know. I mean, hey, look, the Mets pitching coaches have done wonders. I mean, you look at like Quintana, Manaea, Severino, they've done wonders for Peterson. They've done wonders. So I guess the feeling there is, we lost Seth Lugo because we didn't want to turn him into a starter. He goes and becomes a starter and he's killing it in Kansas City. So maybe we should, if this is what Clay Holmes wants, then let's give it to him. It feels like it feels like a long shot, dude. It feels like the odds are against him. Hasn't started since 2018. Hasn't thrown more than 70 innings since in 4 seasons. The guy I don't know. Mets recently hired Desi Druskel, formerly in the Yankees coaching staff, to be their assistant pitching coach. So maybe that was, Mendoza has the Yankees ties, so he has some familiarity there. They bring over another guy that has Yankees ties that has some familiarity with Holmes. So it's going to be an interesting project. I personally am not banking on it. I'm too conservative to think that'll work out. But if anyone can do it, I guess the Mets can. And we also signed Frankie Montas. Agreed to a 2-year guaranteed with worth $34 million. Includes a player option for 2026. Last season, Montas pitched 150 2/3 innings, 4.84 ERA with a 1.37 whip and 148 strikeouts. So the numbers weren't exactly stellar, but the contract draws similarities to the 2-year guarantee that Manaea signed last offseason. Montas spent parts of 6 seasons with the A's and produced an impressive 3.7 ERA. His numbers improved following his trade to the Brewers from the Reds. With the Reds, he had a 5 ERA over 93 1/3 with 41 walks and 78 strikeouts. And then he had a 4.55 ERA over 57 1/3 with 25 walks and 70 strikeouts with the Brewers. So walks, strikeouts per 9 went up, ERA went down. Still not like knocking my socks off, but yeah, I guess this is what we do. We take pitchers that are just kind of struggling, kind of on the precipice, they like would tweak here, tinker there, and they can be, 3 ERA and getting, massive contracts in free agency. That's like our bag, baby. It's like Kevin O'Connell Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell just takes everyone's, you're poor, you're weak, all these quarterbacks that have been thrown to the wayside, and he turns them into like Pro Bowl quarterbacks. So I guess that's the Mets are the equivalent of that. The Mets pitching coaches will be like, yeah, give us your Severinos, your Manayas, your Quintanas, your Montazes, your Holmes, and we'll turn them into Cy Young finalists. Jesus. So the rotation how it stands right now, very incomplete, but Kodai, Senga, I guess Frankie Montas will be your number 2, or would it be David Peterson? I don't know. Montas, then David Peterson, and then as of right now, I guess it's Clay Holmes is your 4th starter. But then you still have Paul Blackburn coming back from his back injury. Tyler McGill is an option. Jose Buto, there was talks about him coming from the bullpen and being a starter. Christian Scott is not in the mix. He'll miss all of 2025. If you bring back, this is like, I would in last season or in the past, I'd have been like, crack kills, but it feels so. It feels incredibly possible now. Re-sign Sean Manaea, Corbin Burns, and trade for Garrett Crochet. No, that's crazy. So I would love to bring Manaea back. I think he was great for the clubhouse. And I think, ever since the arm angle changed, the update there, it seemed like he was really not unhittable, but just like deceptive as hell. So, but it feels like it'll be one of those 4 things, right? Because I have 4 possibilities here to add to the mix. Sean Manaea. I don't think you can get Sean Manaea and Corbin Burns. I don't see Max Fried signing with us at all. Nor that I don't know that I'm like crazy about signing him, but maybe I should be. He's 30 through 2 complete games and a shutout. Damn, homie. Last season, 2-time All-Star. Yeah. Maybe I'm turning around. I thought he was older, but between the two, I don't know why I want Corbin Burns. I guess it's like taking on a brave, just kind of, I don't know. I don't feel good about that. 4-time All-Star for Corbin Burns, 4 straight years in a row, and he's 29 and put up some really great numbers last year with Balmer. So I prefer Burns over Fried. So it's either we bring back Manaea, sign Burns or Fried, and then the third option, which is probably less appealing, not of the 4, but the least appealing of the 4, Walker Buehler, Nathan Eovaldi, or Andrew Heaney. Buehler's an interesting case. I saw more of him. I haven't really seen a ton of Eovaldi. And Andrew Heaney, I don't think I've watched it all. The trade for Garrett Crochet has been something I've been banging the drums for. And tooting the horn too. I got a whole orchestra just playing jam band shit. I'd like to see that happen. So still got a lot of work to do, which my old brain that's been poisoned by the Wilpons and years of just not spending or spending on the wrong type of players has made me think that, it's Soto and nothing, or no Soto and everything. It's just very black and white. Like, no, actually, we can sign Soto and a bunch of other dudes. Yeah. Believe in yourself. Dream bigger, sweetheart. We also traded for Jose Siri, which I do wonder, like, when someone calls a game, do all Apple devices have to be removed from the booth? It's just like, I'd imagine that like I'm going to have issues with that throughout the season, just watch and be like, yeah, Siri. Weirdly enough, I'm saying it and Siri's nowhere to be found. What the fuck, Siri? I've said words that are not even close to Siri and it pops up like, hey, what do you want? Cereal. Sirius. Cyrano de Bergerac. No, so stupid. So yeah, we acquired outfielder Jose Siri in a trade with the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for right-hander pitcher Eric Orze. Siri is rated in the 99th percentile of outfield range in 2024, largely because of his speed. StatCast rated him one of MLB's top 10 fastest players with an average competitive sprint speed of 29.9 feet per second. The fastest Met currently is Luis Angel Acuna at 29.5. Siri likewise possesses one of the game's strongest arms, topping out at 101.2 miles per hour from the outfield. That's also top 10 in the majors. Provides elite defense and will replace Harrison Bader, significantly cheaper than Bader, who made $10.5 million, including 2025. So this upcoming season, Siri's under club control for the next 3 seasons. And MLB Trade Rumors estimates his arbitration salary to come in at $2.3 million. Oh, baby. Yeah, so the market for center fielders in free agency was thin. The plan is to use Siri along with Tyrone Taylor, and that was before we signed Juan Soto. So Taylor has undergone 2 surgeries since the end of the Mets were eliminated from postseason. His right elbow, they removed some loose body from his right elbow, and he had a hernia repair. And then both Siri and Taylor are right-handed batters, but Taylor hits better versus righties. So I wonder if you're going to platoon, you put Taylor up against righties and then Siri against lefties. After slashing 222, 267, 494, so 222 batting average, 267 sluggo, 494 OPS in 2023, with 25 home runs and 12 stolen bases, Siri slashed just 187, 255, 366 in 2024 with 18 home runs and 14 stolen bases. So, interesting that he would have such low stolen base counts. But I guess, that's weird. If he has such elite speed, he should have so many more stolen bases. Again, that might be something the Mets could work with him on and help him with. We have seen the Mets start to steal more. I know that I've always wanted Lindor and Nimmo to steal more. Over the last 2 seasons, Siri has hit 43 homers. He also struck out 300 times. His 36.9% K rate is easily the highest among players with at least 600 plate appearances over that stretch. Oof. So, when we're going over lineup options, Siri was not in the lineup. I guess what you're thinking is, off the top of my head, you have a 1-run lead, 2-run lead, bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth. You're trying to win the game. You remove Soto from right field. You move Taylor to right. You put Siri at center. Similar to what we did towards the end of the season with Bader, where it's like Taylor moves to right, Bader goes to center. Oh, boy, oh boy. And what does that mean for Starling Marte? Well, we already talked about it. He goes to DH, which I think is perfect for him. Even though he still has a really good arm in right, you could see that he kind of struggled defensively here and there. So we also signed Oliver Ortega. 4.03 ERA in 48 big league innings. He missed all of the 2024 season. He features 2 fastball, 95 to 99 mile per hour, sinker and 4-seamer, a slider, and a curveball. Something to keep an eye on. So, and then there was some, I saw an update on Neal Lynch is progressing nicely ever since he went down, because he was one of our kind of more under the radar, underrated arms out of the bullpen down the stretch that helped us out a lot and was sorely missed in the postseason. So the remaining free agents, we've already gone over Alonso and Minaya. Quintana, I guess there isn't a real strong desire to bring him back. Has he signed anywhere? I would think that you would give him a second look. I mean, I thought he pitched fairly well. I'm not opposed to bringing him back at all. But I have not seen a lot indicating that he would be. Let's see the past. Let's see by date. Huh? Whoa. Oh, yeah. He's going to the Twins. Or he went to the Twins. Okay. Mets set to lose Jose Quintana, the Twins at the 2024 run. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is official yet, but it looks like he's going to the Twins. All right. That sucks. Jesse Winker, I don't know his status. I think fan favorite, had some big moments in the postseason. I don't see why you wouldn't want to bring him back. That would be the lefty DH. There's some rumors that he'll be going to the Red Sox. It's a friggin' video. I didn't get time for that. JD Martinez, I think that's a hard no. It's like I am grateful for what he was able to provide in the veteran stability and just the kind of like the zen that he brought, the like carefree. I don't know if carefree is the right word, but just like, hey, let's not take this too seriously and let's just go out there and say, fuck it. Like if they say we stink, we stink. Like I always liked that approach and that quote from him. And, even though, he's more of a Michael Kadire type role with the 2015 Mets than he was like, the Michael Kadire of old. So it was great to have him, but I don't see a spot for him in this upcoming season. Jose Iglesias, Candelita, he had like the third highest WAR or something like that amongst free agent second basemen. So nuts. Would you bring him back? I guess it's not. He says he's open to returning, but I don't know. It looks like the Guardians might be in on him again. And, it goes to like, if the Mets must have a ceiling figure in mind. And if Iglesias exceeds that, he gone. So it does not, we can pretty much rule out Harrison Bader returning, I would think. Ryan Stanek would be nice to have back. I think we could probably close the book on Adam Ottavino. Drew Smith, I'm fine with Drew Smith going somewhere else. And I think Brooks Raley we should give Brooks Raley another hab at it. So those are the free agents. Arbitration eligible players: David Peterson, Tyrone Taylor, Tyler Margill, Luis Torrens, DJ Stewart will not return with the club. You got Paul Blackburn, Sean Reed Foley, and Alex Young. I feel like all the most with Stewart removed from that list, that's a pretty good crew to bring back. So let's see here. I mean, what are our needs? We don't need a catcher, right? We don't. I mean, if we don't re-sign Pete, would you want to sign Christian Walker? He's 34. He had a higher WAR by 1.8. He's 6.8 WAR. Other than, Alonso has the second highest WAR among free agent first basemen with 5, age 30. You have Carlos Santano's 39. Goldschmidt's 37. Turner's 40. Solano's 37. Then you get down to like Connor Joe and Joey Gallo, Anthony Rizzo, all of which have a WAR of 2 or less. So I really think I guess Walker would be cheaper. That's the word on the street, but we're not cheap anymore, guys. We bougie. We Gucci, we bougie. We fancy. Second baseman. There's no real demand there. I don't think we need anyone there. We got ourselves one squirrel. Beatty possibly doing that. I think Ronnie Mauricio just returned to baseball activities, so don't know if he'll be ready in time for the start of the season, but that'll be good to have him back in the mix. And then I guess Brett Beatty, right? So Iglesias could be the odd man out, which sucks because I know he provided such a spark, but maybe that was, that was it. Tony shortstops. Third baseman is interesting. Bregman declined his qualifying offer. 31 years old, 8.6 WAR. Would you bring back JD Davis? He's 32, had a 1.7 WAR. If this is like if you lose Pete and then you're forced to move Vientos to first and you don't feel comfortable about Beatty at third and Mauricio is not available and you have McNeil at second and we don't have to worry about the outfield no more. That's it. Jock Peterson is the top candidate in terms of designated hitters by WAR. 33 years old, 3.7 WAR. JD Martinez is actually second at age 37 with a 3.0 WAR. But between the two, I mean, if, Jock Peterson would be muy interesante. That's a guy that's always gotten under my skin. I don't know what it is about him. And I know he has an amazing backstory, with his brother and everything. But I just, but maybe it's like a Jesse Winker thing. Like once he signs with us, it'll be like, I'm all in. I'd have to be. And then we have our starting pitchers, free agent starting pitchers. Corbin Burns, leader in the clubhouse, 30 years old, 7.2 WAR. Blake Snell signed a 5-year deal with the Dodgers. I don't understand how the Dodgers are doing this. They can't get away with this. It's like the Breaking Bad Jesse quote. They can't keep getting away with this. That's basically what's happening. They can't keep getting away with this. But they do. So they pick up Blake Snell. Yusei Kikuchi, 34 years old, 6.0 WAR, signed a 3-year deal with the Angels. Max Fried. Oh, Max Fried did sign with the Yankees. Well, I'm an idiot. Should have known that. And then Evaldi signed with the Rangers. Okay. There you go. I'm glad I spent so much time talking about that. I've been out of the loop. I've been, it's football season, baby. So, Fried's with the Yankees. Evaldi goes to the Rangers. Jack Flaherty, who we faced in the NLCS, he's 29, 5.0 WAR. That could be something to explore. Nick Martinez, 34 years old, 4.9 WAR, signed with the Reds. Kyle Gibson, 37, 4.0 WAR. No thanks. Justin Verlander, 42. No thanks. Nick Pivetta, 32 years old, 3.9 WAR. He's a year younger than Sean Manaea. Same WAR. Charlie Morton is 41, and I mean, you got to run out of gas at some point, right? I don't think he's coming back. Patrick Sandoval, 28, 3.5 WAR. Andrew Heaney, who we talked about as one of the options before, 34 years old, 3.5 WAR. And then I don't know. I mean, Quintana's down there, is way down there. Quintana's got a 2.6 WAR, age 36. Patrick Corbin's a year younger, has the same WAR. So would you think about, Frankie Montas had a 1.4 WAR, 32 years old, and we signed him to a 2-year deal. So I'm wondering if we're going to look at other players in that same kind of range. Would you look at a Colin Ray, 34 years old, 1.6 WAR? Trevor Williams, 33 years old, 1.8 WAR. Lance Lynn, no thanks, 38 years old. Griffin Canning, 29 years old, 2.0 WAR. Mike Clevenger, 34 years old, 2.1 WAR. So lots of arms available, good arms available still. So I think that market is going to be a little slower to develop. And I have the utmost confidence. I mean, Walker Buehler had a minus 0.2 WAR, age 30 season. So But the big name that has piqued everyone's interest is 23-year-old Roki Sasaki. He's a career line of 29-15 with a 2.1 ERA, 0.89 WHIP, and 505 strikeouts against 88 walks and 394 and 2/3 innings. Playing with the Marines in the Nippon Professional Baseball League, NPB. Am I right about that? Probably not. So that would be huge. He was posted, which means he's available. But because he's under the age of 25 or 26, there's a whole different set of rules that I'm not going to bore you to death with. It's just like too much for my brain to handle, and I don't want you to bleed from your eyeballs. But he's allowed 15 home runs total. 0.3 home runs per 9 innings. Jesus Christ. So, and because he is so young, he's considered like part of the international pool. So like he's not going to get a monster contract like Yoshi did, Yamamoto, because I know the Mets were whining and dining and hoping to land him. And of course he goes to the friggin' Dodgers, but he gets the massive contract because he was older than 25, I think. But because Sasaki's only 23, something about the bonus pool. Whoever has the largest bonus pool, and guess who has the largest bonus pool? The fucking Dodgers. What the fuck? People complain about Steve Cohen and the Mets. It's like, dude, how about the Dodgers, dude? Deferring all their money and the largest bonus pool and all this crap. So I'm hoping he eschews the Dodgers and comes to Queens, pairs up with Kodai for the nice 1-2 punch. That would be sick. So hoping we can land him. That would be awesome because it won't break the bank. It's like $2.6 million maximum or something like that. Something outrageous. And he'd be under club control, I think, through the age 25 season or something. I mean, that's like, my head spun trying to read what Anthony DiComo was saying, but that would be a huge win, but he'll probably go to the fucking Dodgers. Ugh. And then we'll finish up the ep talking about a couple of other news items. Hadji passed away. Keith Hernandez's internet famous cat has passed. And I know Keith took that pretty hard. I mean, Hadji was like, what? 17? Maybe older? Cats, man. They live for such a long time. And it's weird because like my sister got 2 cats, I'm going to say like 3 or 4 years ago. They're supposed to be outdoor cats, outside cats, because they live like on a farm. And my brother-in-law wanted them to kill off the rodent population or something like that. And sure enough, they go out and they hunt. But like the first like week or month or something that they had the 2 cats, the one cat, the female cat, like disappeared. And the speculation, the scuttlebutt was that it got ran over and died. But there was no confirmation. Like, it's just like in the movies and TV shows. You don't see the body. Probably didn't die. And what do you know? Years later, my sister was driving down the road. And it's not like it's farmland. It's out in the middle of nowhere near the North Carolina border. And driving down the road and saw the female cat just hanging out on the porch of someone else's house. Just like, she's a runaway. And, but apparently the new owners, she was like, I think that's our cat. And they were like, oh, do you want her back? And she's like, well, you know, she's made a home. Seems like she's been here longer with you than she has with us. So, you know, no takebacks. And then ironically, the other cat did get hit by a car and died. They buried him. They showed me where they buried the cat, and I've now been to the house and I don't know where it is. I should have asked to see it. It's on me. But we didn't have cats growing up. I was legit petrified of cats ever since like 11 or 12 when I was hanging out on the couch watching TV at my grandma's house. And my uncle's cat, Ringo, came in and just went up on its hind legs and like bared its claws, flashed its claws, and was coming at me. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I always had dogs. Dogs never attacked me. This cat, my first in-person experience with a cat, and it's trying to kill me. So that might leave a lasting impact on your psyche and your perception of kitty cats. But, you know, my mom, like my family just didn't have cats growing up. And so then this cat, Joe, it was Joe and Carol from Tiger King. So, you know, Joe Exotic and Carol, whatever the hell her name is, Baskin Robbins. So Carol, obviously presumed dead, still alive, different house. Joe Exotic perished, hit by a car. My mom is kind of taking it hard. And I was like, are you like a cat person? Like, it's a sad thing anytime an animal dies, but I just didn't think that. She's like, I miss him every day. And I was like, Really? He's just an outdoor cat. He just goes out in the night, murders, brings it back, drops it on the porch, goes inside, sleeps, goes back out in the middle of the night, murders, brings it back, brings the corpse onto the couch or onto the porch, goes to sleep. Like, you missed that? Okay. I mean, he was a soft cat. That was one of the softest cats I've ever petted. This is going down a weird route. So that condolences to Keith. T's and P's, thoughts and prayers for Hadji. And you talk about animals passing. My sister went out and got 2 more cats, 2 more kitty cats. These are deaf. I don't think these are outdoor cats at all. They have been in the locked up in the playroom for like their entire existence so far. And damn, do they scratch the shit out of my daughter's face and leg, and knocked over my drink. I was up there trying to play Mario Kart, set my drink on the sill, and the friggin' kitten comes over, jumps up, and just like tries to slam dunk an invisible ball in my highball glass, knocks it over. Vodka everywhere. Oh no, there's vodka everywhere. So I haven't had a lot of experience with those cats, but those cats are dying to get out of that friggin' playroom. Holy shit. Anytime you just crack the door open slightly, you can see like a little claw come and try and hook the door open. And they got out a few times when I was down there. Stormy and Leia. And if you're curious, Stormy is short for Stormtrooper, not Stormy Daniels. Oh boy. Anyway, so R.I.P. Hadji. He will be missed. And I don't know, maybe Keith will wear like a patch, like a little patch on his sleeve, on his work shirt to remember. Maybe if the team did that, that'd be so Mets, and it would be so amazing if we did like a little patch for Hadji. Steve Cohen would do it too, in a heartbeat. That was the other thing about like the Juan Soto signing is like everyone's like the prices of tickets, hot dogs, and beers are going to go up about 400%. Worth it. So potentially a lot of smuggling going to go on. Hopefully you loosen up those bum holes and get your training in as a mule. The last news item I have is Jared Porter. Remember that guy? First time since he was fired. He spoke to The Athletic about his inappropriate relationship for the first time. January 2021. Mets fired Porter within 9 hours of an ESPN report that revealed he had sent dozens of inappropriate text messages to a female journalist. I think the total number was 62. 62 messages he sent between answers over 3 weeks before the journalist requested him to stop. Why wouldn't you tell him to stop after like the 10th message? I don't know. So I guess he went on the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast and said it was an inappropriate relationship for a lot of reasons. I put myself in that situation. I made the decision to send the text message that I sent, and I certainly shouldn't have done it. This was in 2016 when he was with the Cubs. So after he was fired, Porter said he went to an inpatient center in a behavioral health care facility in Arizona called The Meadows for a week. He then transferred to an outpatient center and went there 5 days a week for 8 weeks. He said he lacked awareness and didn't have boundaries. It took a major incident like this to kind of wake me up. Porter said that he still sees a therapist and has attended mental wellness retreat centers with his wife. Was he with his wife when it happened? And she stuck with him? Ugh. What a woman. Porter's tenure with the Mets lasted just 37 days. He said he never saw his office at Citi Field or even met Mets owner Steve Cohen in person. He said they had to make the best decision for the New York Mets when the article came out. I held zero ill will toward them whatsoever. I do think they made the best decision for the Mets. It's unfortunate that I put myself in that position and them. So I didn't even know you could check yourself into a behavioral health care facility. That's something that I might look into. I definitely need a serious recalibration and readjustment when it comes to my behavior. So I didn't even think that was a thing. And if it is, I mean, he went 5 days a week for 2 months. That sounds, I mean, I wonder how much that costs, but I wonder if I should do that. Maybe I should do that. I mean, I haven't sent 62 messages between answers over 3 weeks, but I'm sure there's a whole litany of women that are just lining up to be like, oh, listen to what he did to me. Not as bad as it sounds. It's just like, I just don't have a ton of positive reviews on Yelp. I'll say that. Alrighty then. Important dates coming up. I doubt, unless the Mets go ahead and have another blockbuster. They sign Corbin Burns and they sign Jock Peterson, and I don't. Until that happens, I don't think I'm going to be doing a ton more of Mets pods. December 15th is the end of the 2024 international signing period. So my guess is we should know about Sasaki by then, I would think. Let's see here. Sasaki. He's been treated fairly a bit. Timelines. Let's see. Okay, here we are. Mets remain interested. Okay. Oh, okay. Going to give it our best shot. Mets have a total international bonus pool of $6.2 million. Of that amount, $5 million is committed to highly regarded Elian Pena, a 16-year-old shortstop. They could renege on the agreement with Pena. The other option is would be through a trade, so they could trade Pena. Teams are allowed to trade for up to 50% of their bonus pool allotment. What? Once signed, Sasaki would receive the major league minimum until he's eligible for arbitration after 3 seasons. Oh my gosh. Incredible. So yeah, I mean, like, it's all matter of preference, I guess. Don't go to the Dodgers, dude. So that's the next big date coming up. And then January 10th is when eligible players and their teams exchange arbitration figures. It's when a bunch of deals and extensions could happen. January 15th is the start of the new international signing period. Many handshake deals that were agreed to in advance will become official on this day. So I guess if Sasaki doesn't sign by the 15th, does that mean that they have to wait until the 15th? Jesus. If Sasaki doesn't sign by December 15th, does that mean we have to wait till January 15th? My guess is yes. If you wait until January 15th, does that mean can he play in 2025? I don't know. January 25th, the 100th Annual Baseball Writers Association of America's New York chapter dinner will take place at the New York Hilton Midtown. This is where the league MVPs, Cy Young winners, and other award recipients receive their hardware. The Mets will also host their Amazing Day, a winter fan fest featuring player meets and greets and other Mets. By the way, the awards, I mean, I don't even bother talking about it because it's so ridiculous at this point. How Carlos Mendoza didn't win Manager of the Year is a travesty. Lindor not getting MVP. I don't think he got a Golden Glove. I just, keep snubbing us, dude. I actually prefer it at this point. I know the players probably don't prefer it, but I actually prefer it that we can have so much success and fun without all these stupid awards. It just does suck for the players when they're trying to make a case for the Hall, All right. That's the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll talk to you next time. Adios. Muchachos.